Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, to the statutes and to the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers gives you. You shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish anything from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, the Lord your God has destroyed them from among you. But you that did cling to the Lord your God are alive, every one of you, this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations which shall hear all these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who has God so near to them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which is set before you, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart in all the days of your life. But teach them to your sons and to your sons' sons, especially the day that you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, when the Lord said to me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the midst of the heaven, which darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only you heard the voice. And he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land where you go over to possess it. Take you therefore good heed to yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spoke to you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Lest you lift up your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, should be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has divided to all nations under the whole heaven. But the Lord has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go into that good land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance, but I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but you shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything which the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. When you shall father children and children's children, and you shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or the likeness anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord your God to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereto you go over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Lord shall lead you. And there you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from there you shall seek the Lord your God, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, when you are in tribulation, and all these things are come upon you, even in the latter days, if you turn to the Lord your God, and shall be obedient to his voice. For the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. For ask now if the days that are past, which are before you since the day that God created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven to the other, whether there has been any such thing as this, great things is or has been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire as you have heard and live? Or has God essayed to go take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was showed that you might know that the Lord, he is God. There is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you, and upon earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before you, greater and mightier than you are, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in your heart, that the Lord, he is God in heaven above, and upon the earth beneath. There is none else. You shall keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which the Lord your God gives you forever. Then Moses severed 3 cities on this side Jordan toward the sunrising, that the slayer might flee there, which should kill his neighbor unawares, and hated him not in times past, and that fleeing to one of these cities he might live, namely Bezer in the wilderness in the plain country of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan of the Manassites. And this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies and statutes and the judgments which Moses spoke to the children of Israel after they came forth out of Egypt, on this side Jordan, in the valley opposite to Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelled at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel smote after they were come forth out of Egypt. And they possessed his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, which were on this side Jordan toward the sunrising from Aor, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even to Mount Zion, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side Jordan eastward, even to the sea of the plain under the springs of Pisgah.